Happy New Year, chat. Happy New Year. Happy 2026. And to start it off, yes, it is New Year's Day, January 1st, 2026. And, you know, what way better off way to start the year than with the cutest looking doggo in the world, Clyde. Hi, Papa Bear. Boy. Mwah. Anyways, Happy New Year, everybody. Hope you're all doing well. He's just relaxed. He's relaxed. He's hanging out. And yeah, that's kind of tonight, guys. We don't have a ton to go over. I mean, we got some stories, but this is not going to be a super long show tonight. I mean, just is what it is. I mean, we basically have like 2.5 weeks of like dead time at the end of the year every year. So it's like not a lot of new stuff to go through, and we're going to do that. So just want to let you guys know that already. Just so if you're expecting all kinds of crazy shit, well, some. Will we be going back to the trains? Probably when we go to locals. Were the fireworks an issue today? I think there was one or two last night that Clyde heard that got him a little riled up. But overall, he's all right. He's all right today. During the day, we don't have many of them, so I don't think it's a problem. So we're going to go ahead and deal with that. Okay. Rabbit Six says, we lost my grandmother this morning. I'm sorry to hear that. You know, I think you mentioned that last night, or somebody mentioned their grandparent passing away, and I'm sorry to hear that, but it's a horrible way to start the year, but you know, reflect on, I guess, the time you had. And I'm sure, obviously, in hindsight, it's not as much as you want, but you know, remember all those things. I hope you find her. Remember all those good memories, all those good times. You get to keep those. Just like with your dogs. Anything good, any good memories out there, you get to keep them. Nobody can ever take them away from you. And that's one of the beauties of it all. Nobody can ever take them away. They're entirely yours. What the heck is this in the back of your head, buddy? What is this? What is that? Little bump. So, tell him look under the bed. So, who's going to win Lolcow of the Year? I don't know. I have my own people I pick, so I'm not going to tell you who I pick. I don't want to intimidate or taint the pool. I don't want to be seen as a rigger, chat. So, hi, Kite. I'm going to set you on the ground, though. Okay. You know, they didn't give 100 subs to keep the doggo on stream. I'm just kidding, chat. But does Clyde smell like pee? No, he does not. But he's got these little like bumps on him, and one of them has ruptured. And it's like a big cyst, and like it just smells like a broke open cyst. So it smells like smells really nasty. No. But no, I'm not going to tell you guys who I voted for Lolcow, who I think should be in these categories. That's not helpful to everyone. Was it folliculitis? Oh, I don't know. I don't think so. He's got a lot of them. He's had these things all pop up. Ag says you should get them looked at. He's got like 1 million of them right now. So like there are a bunch of them all over. You know, we were kind of worried. We talked to our vet about him, and he says like as long as they're like moving around and they're not like free, they're probably okay. And like they've gotten, you know, he's been outside before and rolled around, and you know, they broke open before, and it just leaks out, you know, goop and you know, like other stuff. So it's not a serious concern for us because we're pretty sure they're not cancerous or anything like that. So but no, I'm not going to recommend Lolcows. Not going to recommend any of the categories. That's for you to decide yourself, chat. Vote early. Vote early and vote often, though. I will tell you that much. Oh, let's see here. It is a tumor. No, it's not. They're not tumors. They're not tumors. Meme is on later. Maybe he'll bring the crazy. Well, he might try. Posobiec is a Fed. Remember, Poso is a former intelligence. So, once they're in intelligence, they're intelligence. Canadian Kate says, Sean, the other day you said someone with 180 IQ could probably light some people on fire. Well, I kind of make it a joke like that movie Lucy, where her like IQ became like 200 and she could like manipulate everything. Ever defend someone like that? No, and I'm not sure I'd want to. Because remember, like I said, the higher your IQ goes, when you're on both ends of the bell curve, it's a prison of similar it's a similarly constructed prison. On one side, you are not able to put things together because your IQ is too low. But if your IQ is too high, you're unable to communicate as well without great difficulty. So, no, I think they both would be extremely difficult. They would both be extremely difficult. Radcon Hazard, I love this one. Did a second biter hit the Posobiec? No, but we're going to get to that. And then Kathy, your realtor in New Jersey. That's right, chat. Buy, sell, lease, rent, whatever you want to do. Go get rid of some squatters. Maybe Kathy will help you eminent domain things from people. I don't know. Talk to her about it. I bet she's pretty flexible in what she's willing to do as long as you get her commission on it. I think she's down for whatever. Want to buy a Superfund site? Whatever it is you want to do. Buy a Superfund site and build a daycare on top of it. I'm sure Kathy will help you sort that out. For $10, saying Happy New Year. Thanks to Sean and 2.0. Well, thank you for being here. You guys, without you guys here, it's just me acting like a goober on my own. And that's, to be fair, I don't need the internet for that. You can talk to 2.0. She'll tell you, I act like a fucking goober on my own all the time. I mean, hell, we had to have a discussion today about if she wanted grilled bread. And I'm like, what? She said, well, just take a piece of, I'm like, you mean toast? And she's like, and I guess I'm going to have to admit, I think she was right. Because technically, like, grilled bread is like a grilled cheese sandwich. It's just a piece of bread that's been browned, but not toasted. It's weird, but I think technically she's right. And I hate to say it like that, but technically she's right. So. Is Luthi worth watching? I don't know. I've only seen like the things of it. Poffin says Ed Kemper had an IQ of like 145. Yeah, Ed Kemper was super smart. But yeah, I mean, it's, it just shows you like how problematic people are. Well, Ed Kemper's still alive. But yes, he is super, 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 super smart. But yeah, even he acknowledges like it's tough. It's, and he was very weird too, because, he's not a typical thing. Like, he's not a sociopath in the sense of, he can't work in groups. He was, part of different things. He's very amenable to working with people. So yeah, you got to be careful when you have those things. You got to be careful when people are having those issues. Hey, Kathy says, yes, we have those here. Okay. So just something to think about. Christopher Dolan says, holy shit, Slenderman is real. Well, we're going to get, it's not necessarily like the Slenderman thing, but we're going to get to it. David says, both are inferior to fry bread. Well, yeah, technically, that's correct. That is correct. Butter on toast. Anything else better be with butter. Well, yes. Yes, often the smarter you are, the more nuts you are. That is true as well. Dee Burns was saying 145 isn't that high. 145, you're getting into like the statistical percentage points of like less than 1% as percentiles. Like you're in the 99th percentile, like the 99.9th percentile. You're a very rarefied error. Will I be covering Greer's new lawsuit? Yes, we're gonna do some more Greer stuff probably tomorrow. Because I think it'll be fun to look at, and we'll catch up on the Russell Greer stuff in the meantime. But yeah, that's the thing. I have some court stuff to take care of tomorrow during the day, chat, some phone calls, some emails. I gotta get something e-filed tomorrow. Also get my hair done tomorrow, so we'll come back with new hair. Let's see here. Ariel says, did someone say fry bread? Okay. It's, yeah. I love Greer stuff, but I fucking hate it. Well, yeah, that's how this works. That's how this works. No, not clavicular, no. All right, guys, so let's get started. It's been 10 minutes here. It's time to get going. So welcome to the show, guys. And if you guys are new, my name's Sean, also known as Potential Criminal. I'm an attorney in the Cleveland, Ohio area, and we're going to get to some stuff here. The first thing we're going to start off with is we're going to get, I hate the disabled. I hate everybody. Sexarian. Everybody. So, anyway, going back to the whole Slenderman thing, you guys remember with the Slenderman stabbings, remember Morgan Geyser and her friend lured another child out into the woods and they attempted to kill her and stab her and, to help Slenderman. And obviously Slenderman's not real. And these, bitches, ended up getting sent back. They got sent to the nut hut as juveniles. And remember recently Morgan Geyser got released and there were some issues about her, would she follow rules? And they're like, okay, well, I'm going to release her. Well, guess what happened? She fucking cut her ankle monitor off and ran away. I don't think Nick's on the list for Lol Cow of the Year. He's not on the selection committee. So, but yes, anyways, these girls had a Slenderman thing going. They stabbed their friend. They went and they basically spent, the better part of, years now, over a decade, in a mental institution. Which I've told you this before, guys. If you don't get sent to juvenile prison, which there are juvenile prison systems, those suck. But even for adults, getting sent to prison versus a mental hospital, I've had clients go to both, and they don't like mental hospitals. Mental hospitals are dangerous. They're not like it's a whole different thing. They can be very, very dangerous. Believe it or not, you spend a lot of your time, depending on your situation, super, super, super medicated. It doesn't look good. Anyway, so these girls, Morgan Geyser, we cover this, ran away. She ran from Wisconsin down to Illinois. She got arrested. They found her down there. Well, she had her hearing a couple days ago. She had her hearing, and she's actually not. It's very interesting what happened here, because she kind of gave up, and she's just like, yeah, I'm going back into custody, which for her probably is the best thing. I mean, she's got mental health issues, and honestly, at this point, like, let's be real, she's probably going to have them forever. I doubt they're going to go away. And remember, she was hanging out with, a trans person and didn't make that, help anything better. But anyways, here we go.
All right. The court calls 2014 CF 596, State of Wisconsin versus Morgan Geyser. Can I have appearances, please?
Abby Nikolai appears on behalf of the state. Good morning, Judge.
And good morning. We also have a DHS representative on the line. We are here to discuss the petition for revocation for conditional release that was filed on November 25th.
And remember, she had a conditional release and she was told, follow the rules. And she's like, okay. She didn't do so well following the rules.
In particular, Ms. Geyser's stated intention not to contest the petition for revocation of conditional release and waive the evidentiary hearing on same. Just as a matter of what I think is undisputed, Mr. Cotton, there's no dispute the petition to revoke was time.
And if you notice, she's not challenging it. And I think that's obviously her attorney sat down and said, look, you're going away. There's nothing we can do about it. But I also wonder if Morgan actually sat down and thought about this and said, oh my God, I really am a complete mess. Hopefully she really did at the end of the day. But this is definitely something her attorney said, look, we can have this hearing. Everybody's going to hear you going off the chain. All this evidence is going to get put on the record. I mean, she's probably never going to get early release ever again, but putting all on the record wouldn't help it either. So, but anyways, here she goes into her hearing.
We filed under the statutes, is that right? All right, and by way of background, just to catch us up, Ms. Geyser was previously found not guilty by reason of mental disease or defect in October of 2017. In February of 2018, Judge Boren sentenced Ms. Geyser through an order of commitment for 4 years. On January 9th of 2025, Judge Boren deemed the conditional release was appropriate and entered an order that she be conditionally released. And while it took a while for the conditional release plan to be developed effectively, the actual conditional release plan was finalized in September of this year. And after certain events occurred, the DHS filed a petition to revoke Ms. Geyser's conditional release on November 25th of 2025, and that's what brings us here. In that petition, the DHS alleged that revocation of Ms. Geyser's conditional release is appropriate under WISTAT section 971.173E, and the state contends that both the conditions of Ms. Geyser's conditional release were violated, and that remaining on conditional release would pose a risk both to her own safety as well as the safety of the community. The allegations include, and I won't go through them all, that Ms. Geyser fled placement, cut off her GPS monitor, and committed other violations of the conditional release order. In support of their petition, the state has alleged, the DHS has alleged, that Ms. Geyser violated the rules for conditional release, and under the circumstances, her release would involve a continued heightened level of dangerousness if she remained on conditional relief, both to herself and for others. In my understanding now, based on Attorney Cotton's earlier correspondence, is that Ms. Geyser intends to waive any objection and will not be contesting the petition for conditional release. Is that right, Mr. Cotton? Okay, thank you. I just have a few questions for Ms. Geyser just to make sure she's making this decision freely, intelligently, and voluntarily. And Ms. Geyser, you've had a chance to review the DHS position for revocation of conditional release? Okay, and you've been able to review it with your counsel, and he's answering.
Wait, we can't hear it? What the heck? Oh, come on, Court. You suck here. But
any questions you may have had about it?
I didn't think this was going to be screwed up on Court TV's end. Jesus, that's awesome.
And Ms. Geyser, you understand you're entitled to have an evidentiary hearing on the DHS position to revoke your conditional release? And you understand if we had that hearing, it would be the state's burden of proof to show that the revocation of conditional release is appropriate. You understand that, ma'am? And you further understand that the burden of proof the state would have to face is to prove that by clear and convincing evidence. And your counsel, for you, waived the 30-day time limit for having that hearing on your behalf. But we currently have a hearing set for February 16th, 2026. You understand that, ma'am? And if we have that revocation hearing, you understand you would have the right to be represented by counsel, is that correct? You'd have the right to see and hear the evidence the state presents at that hearing, is that correct? You understand you'd be able to present evidence and witnesses on your own behalf, is that correct, ma'am? And you understand you'd also be able to cross-examine the state's witnesses, is that correct? All right, and you've been satisfied with the services of Mr. Cotton, is that correct? And earlier on December 16th, 2025, Attorney Cotton provided me with some correspondence indicating that you have elected not to contest the position to revoke your conditional release. And that's true, ma'am? And you are satisfied that you've had ample time to discuss the ramifications of waiving that hearing and the burden of proof the state would have to face if we had that hearing, is that correct? Okay. And your counsel is able to answer any questions you might have about the—
David, I think there's something wrong that like he can hear it, we can't hear it. Something's wrong with the audio, but he's able to hear the audio. I think that she's clearly articulating and he's hearing it.
The DHS petition for revocation of your conditional release, is that right? And at this time, is it your decision to waive the hearing on the petition for revocation of conditional release? And you've decided not to contest the merits of the petition for revocation of conditional release, is that right? And you understand that if you waive your right to a revocation hearing, ma'am, the court will revoke your conditional release in order you return to inpatient commitment or other custody under section 971.17, okay? And the state will not have to prove any violations of the hearing, ma'am. You understand that? And you understand that revocation of your conditional release will result in your continued confinement on your NGI commitment, subject to further future review as provided by law. Is that correct? And again, you've had what you believe to be sufficient time to discuss this decision with Mr. Cotton. Is that right? And no one's promised you anything for waiving your right to contest the petition. Is that correct? And no one's threatened you to make you waive your right to contest the petition. Is that correct? And you're making this decision to waive the revocation hearing freely, intelligently, and voluntarily. Is that correct? Okay. And you understand, finally, by waiving that revocation hearing, you're giving up your right to contest the allegations in the state's request for revocation, correct? And knowing all these rights and consequences, do you
Hey, chat, sorry, it's not working. I thought it might come back in at some point. So ultimately, the way... Hi, 2.0. Hey, sweetheart. Yes, Toast is putting bread in. I said you were right, sweetheart. You probably didn't listen. So you don't listen to me anyway. Yes, the crisp bread and butter after. Although you could butter something beforehand. It'd be a little weird. Grilled is buttering the bread and putting it in a pan of crisp bread. Completely different flavor profiles. Yes. Well, anyway. So here's what's happened. So Morgan has been sentenced and recommitted. She was facing 40 years of supervision in a mental hospital. And she's going back for a long time. At some point, she could probably get released, but it's not going to be for a while. And this is something that when you get in, and this is the other thing too, guys, even if you get a not guilty by reason of insanity, and I think I've mentioned this before, you're subject to review by a court. Especially in cases of, and every state's different, but in Ohio, for example, if you're NGRI'd and you for a murder, you are under court supervision for the rest of your life. So if you murder somebody when you're 20 and you spend 15 years in, the mental hospital and they could finally release you, every year you have to come back to court for a yearly review. And then God forbid something happens in the meantime where things go off the rails, you could be subject to revocation and placed back in a mental hospital. And that's the same for all these other things. They didn't kill this girl, but they're facing up to 40 years of commitment. So Morgan's facing 40 years of commitment, which means she's probably going to spend I'd say at least 5 years in mental hospital before she's gonna be released again. Because as soon as they released her, she started hanging out with some troon and cut her ankle bracelet off and ran away with some goofy troon that was like named Bob. So yeah, there's all kinds of problems. That's how this works. 40 years of commitment. It's like a marriage. Yes. It sounds a lot like prison with a different name. It's worse than prison, actually. I mean, I'll tell you. Talk to people who've been to prison or a mental hospital, and they'll tell you a lot of times the mental hospital could be worse. But yes, we have to do something with her, chat. She has to be warehoused. She's clearly not, her shit's not together. And when she was out, she tried to kill somebody. So we have to warehouse her somewhere. And, we don't think she's warranted to be warehoused in prison, so we warehouse her in a mental hospital. But she has to do something. We got to do something there for her. Fair Frozen says, been there, do not recommend. Well, that too, yeah. David Hinkins saying prison is way easier to escape from. At times, yes. Many, like if you guys have ever had to go see family members in a lockdown facility, yeah, it's very tough. It's pretty restrictive. But that's just how, it's how we do stuff. It's not an easy thing. What if it's temporary insanity? You get a commission in the army after. Are you making is this like a? Is this like a Lieutenant Colley joke? I'm not sure. No, she's not. Well, she's not going to prison. She's going to the mental hospital. And she's not going to fucking enjoy it. I guarantee you she fucking hates it. It's rough on everybody there. Nobody ever enjoys it. Anime Exceptionalism says, I had to go to a mental hospital for $10. And thank you for sharing this. I had to go to a mental hospital when I went crazy from when I went to get crazy from my sober pills. The one I went to is nice, but there's plenty of crap ones. I shopped and bided my time to get in the nice one for success. Well, there are different types of mental hospitals and residential facilities. She's in a state mental hospital, which is going to be operated like a prison with guards, and it's going to be run very much that way. She's not going to the nice one. She's going to the ones where everyone there is a fucking dangerous. Like walking down the hallway past people's like walking past IEDs. You don't know when they're going to go off. And having been in a mental hospital, that's even worse because when you walk through a jail or a prison, the guys there know if they fuck with outsiders, that's going to be bad for everybody. And then everybody in jail might try to kill them or prison will try to kill them. When you're in a mental hospital, they don't like, I don't like, how do I know that lady I'm walking by doesn't think I'm a she sees me as a fucking alien and tries to stab me with a pen or a pencil or something. You know, there's all kinds of like, when you go in a mental hospital, it is, you know, your hackles are up and they better be up. Like, you better be ready to protect your neck. It's different when you go into a jail or prison. You're just like, okay, I'm doing my thing. Like, you're pretty safe. Mental hospitals are a far different game. So, Chaos says you're not putting butter bread in the toaster. Just stop. Jesus Christ, you guys. Trump once says, can she claim crazy again? Well, here's the problem. When you say, sorry, I did it, I'm crazy. Well, guess what? Back to the mental institution you go. Sorry. Because she wasn't being charged with a new crime. She's violating the conditions of her release from the state mental institution. So admitting you're crazy, doesn't really do anything because you're just speeding up the process. I wonder if there is a possibility she gets charged with escape if she fought it. I doubt it, and I don't know if legally that would meet the standard for escape in Wisconsin because she's under electronic monitoring. I know here they don't, but that would be really awkward because, how many people probably do it? Here's the thing. Everybody, like 1 million people cut their fucking ankle monitors off. Happens all the time. Chet brings up a good question. Even crazy people in moments of sanity, they do. But it's difficult for a person to admit, like, yeah, I need to go back into that really nasty place that I'm probably going to spend a majority of my life in going forward. That's not an easy thing to get people to want to admit. So I'm sure she's had moments of clarity. And EDW Raptor says, sir, the grilled bread and toast are the same thing. You are just frying the bread with a different source of heat. Yes, you can make grilled cheese in a toaster. Hold your ground, King. Thanks. So, you guys are being ridiculous. She's schizo. Well, she's something. I don't think she's schizo, but she's got a lot of issues. And that's the thing, Tuckek. Even schizophrenic people, that's not automatically get out Jeffrey card. Like Nick Reiner, Rob Reiner's son. Yeah, he's schizophrenic, but even schizophrenic people, like, you're still held to the same standard of, do you know what you're doing at the time was wrong? And even if you have multiple personalities, that personality probably knows it's wrong. Unless that personality is clearly off in La La Land, you can have multiple personalities. They'll still know killing people is wrong. So that alone isn't enough either. That alone is not enough either. Yes, the real... the real one thing is David Hinckley, yeah. And him, and how he got released. And he's out now, and he makes folk music. He's a very weird dude. Anime Exceptionalism says, I swear to God, I am not making this up. There was a guy at the good hospital who told horror stories of the bad ones. At one, they torture the patients, making them watch CNN. I could see that could be difficult. It's not engaging. It's boring. It's monotonous. And yeah, I'm sure that gets people all fired up. Aside from the joke, it's the CIA. Har, 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 har. Citric 19 is saying $1 equals 1.45 million Iranian rial right now. Do you think their government is fucked them for the art of it, Sean? Well, I mean, the Iranian government is hanging in there. Apparently, a bunch of plane flights from Belarus and China have come in, and allegedly there's a bunch of, Belarusian and Chinese mercenaries running around trying to kill people to help support the government. So remember, every time the Iranian government's ever had a revolution lately or an uprising, they put it down. So whatever's going to happen there. Well, David, yes, the attorneys, people are usually excited to see you, but if it's not your client, I'm talking about other inmates, it's always a risk, but generally they know better. So let's see here. Was she in fact schizo? I thought she had like multiple personality disorder. Yes, Hinckley killed, not guilty by reason of insanity. Yeah. Is John Hinckley? Okay, I don't remember. Yes, Hinckley just released a book. Yeah. He released a bunch of music. David from Making Law Simple. David, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. Says, I trust the Iranians. Yeah. But anyways, she had early onset schizophrenia, and so did her dad. Okay. Yeah, I forget, because I know that whole thing was a thing there. But that is kind of how that stuff goes, guys. It's a pretty straightforward thing. Like, are you going to do it? Are you going to give it up? Yeah, well, then there you go. All right, done. Dunsky, as far as things go. As far as things go here. And also, let me see here. Let's see. Also, another cases, things that are going. Courtney Clenney is going to trial in 2026. So that is the good news. We're going to have that here. And, what are we going to know here? She is going to trial. It's going to be in April. And the trial is set to begin April 27th, 2026. If you guys don't remember Courtney Clenney, she is the girl who she murdered her, black boyfriend. She's like, as she claims, he was attacking me, and yeah, except you threw a knife at him and somehow killed him, and doesn't all make sense, chat. But anyways, that's where we are with it. Courtney Clenney goes to trial in April 27, 2026, which means her trial, it's probably going to be at least a week or two of jury selection, which means we're probably not really going to be involved in that. But April 27th is the last Monday in April. And then moving on to that, we have all of May. And if I'm available, I will do it. But, we really need to be careful, because I'm like, I clear out my schedule and nothing happens. And it's like, yeah. So, yes, the toll was reversed. Yes. Yeah, you guys would hit it. She'll kill you too. So be careful. Be careful out there, chat. But yes, Courtney Clenney goes to trial the end of April, which, hey, good news if you're interested in that. Something we will cover at some point going forward is, guys, remember Jack Smith? He is special. He was he was involved in investigating Trump and prosecuting things there, as far as the Mar-a-Lago case, but also the January 6th case against President Trump. Jack Smith's testimony from the House Oversight Committee has been released. Not only has the video's 8 hours long. The video's 8 hours long. Oh my God, chat. There's some off the record spots, but it's 8 hours long. It's 8 hours long. In addition to that, we also have a transcript of the hearing as well. At some point, we're going to take a look at that. You guys are saying we can watch Courtney Clenney in the evening? Yeah, we could do that. I'll just be happy. We'll see what it's looking like. There. But anyways, guys, yeah, this is the entire Jack Smith transcript. It's 255 pages. That's a lot of talking in 8 hours. Like, it just makes you want to, we'll have to watch all of it. At some point. And we don't have it done yet. We'll have to work on that. Maybe we can do that in multi-parts, do an hour here, an hour there, and work our way through it. Let me see here, guys. The other thing I wanted to show you out of it, though, it's very, very interesting. You can show, this is the best part of this. This is out of one of the biggest bombshells, I guess, or parts of this Jack Smith thing here are from here, as Jack Smith goes on, and they ask him, question. And this is from somebody on the House committee. Did you develop evidence that Trump, was responsible for violence in the Capitol on January 6th? Notice, pretty straightforward question, right? Did you develop evidence that Trump was responsible for the violence of the Capitol on January 6th. And he says, here's his answer. So our view of the evidence is that he caused it and he exploited it and that it was foreseeable to him. Okay. And notice they say, you don't have any evidence that he instructed people to crash the Capitol, do you? And here we go. This is blah, 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 blah. What don't you see here, chat? Yes. No, he says, our evidence is that in the weeks leading up, he created a level of distrust. Okay. He used that level of distrust to get people to believe fraud claims that weren't true. Okay. He made false statements, state legislators, and was aware in the days leading up to the 6th that his supporters were angry when he invited them to the Capitol, and then he directed them there. Now, once they were at the Capitol and once the attack happened, he refused to stop it. That's not true. He asked them to stop. He instead issued a tweet without question in my mind, endangering the life of his own vice president. Well, that's glad you're not here. Notice there's no yes. There's no yes. And when the violence was going on, he had to be pushed repeatedly by his staff members to do anything to quell it. Notice there's no yes. There's just no straight yes. There's no straight yes. There's no yes here, chat. There's no yes. David from Making Law Simple says, I say you do a marathon stream. We may do that one day here coming up. We may do it here coming up. That is, it's interesting though. You're like, why can't you just say yes? Here's what we found. No, everything he says, like, I get it. He's bad. He's bad man. He's bad man. But notice he can't just admit, yeah, we don't have evidence. We don't have evidence. But that has come out now, guys. That is something we're going to look through. I think I'm sure people are going to tear it apart. I would point out though, in the meantime, since everybody's at home and it's like New Year's Day and nothing else has come out about it, you'd think like obviously there's probably not a lot of smoking guns in there. Yeah, a lot of conjecture and opinion. Oh, 100%. 100%. A lot of speculation, too, or what he thinks would be good or bad. Then Before the Grave says, are you going to cover the teen who's accused of, murdering her mother and stepfather and letting her 5-year-old sister find them in Georgia? The parents used to be abusive, but there's also no evidence out. Yeah, I think, oh, God, what's her name? She's set to go to trial like pretty quick here, aren't we? Yeah, Patrick. Yes, Sarah Patrick. Yes. And that's something we can watch that starting like Monday, like in the evenings. I've got stuff scheduled coming up here, but we can watch that as it goes. And I think that'll be a fun one to cover. So, but yeah, if it starts actually on Monday, yes. If it does, once it starts, we'll start covering it, but I'm not going to do jury selection. And that's the thing. If there's jury selection, no. But if they pick their jury in a day or two, then yeah, we'll get into it. If it takes them a week, we'll wait a week. So at least that's my plan. That's what I'm thinking. So, but yeah, we'll have that. I'll put that one down because I did read up on this in the meantime. I forgot her name, but yeah, it is pretty interesting. It is pretty interesting what her, how she's gonna claim this isn't her and how she's not. And it's weird because she was like all about trying to get people to like, please help me solve the case and find the real killers. And she was like, she's a psychopath, she killed him, and she's like, help me find them. And she's like, it's like, bruh, you did this. So Poca says, do you have to go to a deposition? No, I do not. I just have court hearings and stuff throughout the week. So no, not a deposition, but I got other stuff to do. Depositions are boring. Let's see here. Yes, and another good one. Yes, and somebody sent this to me. I don't know if this was you, but somebody out there sent this. There is a lawsuit out there for ChatGPT because it caused a guy to murder his mother. And then he killed himself. Which it's a very crazy thing. Like he bashed his mom's head in and then he stabbed himself to death in the neck and chest and killed himself. So it's a very interesting thing there. I'll be taking, I think that might have been you. But yeah, no, that's a very interesting, that's going to be, I'm going to look at that here. We're going to go through that one night because it's like, it's the way that guy did it. That's pretty metal. It's pretty metal. Taking yourself out like that. Not saying it's good, but still hardcore. Still hardcore. Yes. Thank you, Ag. I see those. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Will Smith is getting sued for, I saw this today. Yeah. He's getting sued for like sexual harassment and grooming. It's like, how did that work since he's, I don't know. I don't know how that works with him, but hey, it does. It does. Where in the Biden chat GP stabbed the mother? I don't know, but I think they're arguing basically gassed him up to do it. So he's a cock. I said it for you. Yes, Will Smith is. Yes. Oh, yeah. So there we go, guys. That is where are we at? So the Jack Smith stuff is out there. We're gonna take a look at that when we get a chance here coming up. We also somebody got this from me a little while ago. I want to tell them thank you again. Is the lawsuit Felipe Massa had with Formula One and Bernie Eccleston. That's actually been released, and we're gonna go through that because I think it's actually kind of interesting what happened and how this is all gonna go. But yeah, there's some resolution to that. There's been some stuff from the court on how this gets handled here. So it'll be it's pretty interesting. We'll take a look and go through it because it is kind of fun here. Let's see here. Where are you guys? Yeah, the ChatGPT told the guy apparently all kinds of crazy shit was going to happen. All right, and then moving on, guys. This is something I saw this when somebody sent this to me. This is fucking creepy, man. But it's an ongoing thing. This is not just a. This is something that happened a lot on the reservations. If you guys ever watched Yellowstone, when the whole issue with Beth having her abortion and then basically getting hysterectomied in the middle of it, that was a very common thing they did on reservations. Well, in Virginia, hundreds of women are suing a hospital because this doctor, who Javid Perez, gave over like 500 unnecessary hysterectomies and other severe surgeries to women when it wasn't necessary for it. Basically just butchering women left and right because of some fucked up reason. But yeah, more than 500 women sued a hospital for negligence. The one doctor performed medically unjustified operations, including C-sections and sterilizations without consent. And this is a thing that happens, especially in low-income communities. Yeah. And the thing is, these were generally women who were younger. They were, they had no medical problems. And, it's low-income women, and most of them who were Black. And yeah, many of them were in their childbearing years when this guy removed their organs under duress without their knowledge and did other unnecessary procedures. And hold on, chat, 1 second. It's just absolute straight butchery. It's fucking crazy what happened in these places. And it's just it's another sad thing that's out there of, yes, I am very good doctor, sir. Let's see here. Poffin says, I knew a doctor that often put down the wrong chart for surgeries. Oof. Yeah, but this is it's not a high-rated hospital, but it's in a pretty good area. But the problem is the doctor quality, though. I mean, that's the scary thing here. And I mean, yeah, that kind of makes you don't you got to be careful who you trust. And I'm not gonna lie, a lot of women just trust them because the doctor said it needed to happen. And this is this isn't something that happened over 40, 50 years. It happened over 9 years. Over 9 years. Over 9 years has happened. 9 years. And this guy got in trouble because he did a bunch of Medicaid scamming the doctor. So, just absolutely fucking horrible what happened to these women. And yeah. He would tell people they had cancer, were at risk for cancer, and they required surgeries. He would backdate forms and fuck with Medicare things. And he would do all that. All the babies he birthed were sent to the neonatal units and the NICUs. Yeah. Oh, this one lady, she had 4 kids, and all 4 of the kids he delivered had developmental delays. She had a C-section performed and it sterilized her. He told her that she had fibroids and cancer. He removed her uterus and did abdominal surgery. He's just making shit up to cut on people, falsely telling her she had stomach cancer. This is fucked. This is awful. It's awful. This is just insane what this guy did. Just butchering. This is Dr. Mengele stuff. And that's the thing. Imagine learning you have cancer, and it's not because the doctor made a mistake. Because people make mistakes. No, the doctor lied because he just wanted to cut you open and fuck with you. Imagine that. Imagine how that feels. It's not that, he messed up. No, he just wanted to make you suffer. But she never had cancer in the first place. He made me feel like I was in good hands, and Dr. P will take care of you. And apparently he pled guilty for tax fraud. Well, yeah. But anyways, $18 million in Medicaid fraud. Oof. Yeah, that's but yes, people tried to warn the state government that stuff was going on. The own NICU group there was raising concerns about elective C-sections for no medical reason. Yeah, it's just... He routinely classified inpatient surgeries as outpatient to evade scrutiny of inpatient procedures. God, imagine if he killed anybody. It'd be so awful. But I was just reading this. 500 hysterectomies and shit. And then also fake cancers. Oh. Commander says, what do you do with the children of birth? I don't think he killed them. He just birthed the children, and the children were probably born prematurely and put into the NICU. I mean, it's just straight up, yeah, you have tinnitus, so we're going to remove your uterus. Yeah, let's be real. They're after he built the government. I agree. That's the reason why the guy's in trouble. But yes, we're not mad that we sterilized all these women. We're mad you stole our money. And by our money, the government's money, we mean the money we take from taxpayers at gunpoint. And then, you stole from us. So how dare you, sir? How dare you? Have you ever seen The Resident? There's a storyline about a doc that docs cancer in healthy people so he can make money. No, but there's God, what is that movie or that series about the Dr. Death down in Texas? He kept on killing people because he was just super incompetent. And he kept on bouncing around from place to place to place. There's just so many scary fucking stories out there about that stuff. Poffin says, was he an oncologist? No, he was a gynecologist and an OB. So. And then Debbie for $5. Debbie, thank you again for your super chat. Says, my father lives in the DC area / Northern Virginia. He's had a bunch of medical issues over the years. Try to find a white doctor of any specialty. Impossible. Well, that's another issue too. Yes. That's always a risk. That is always the risk of when you get doctors who no speaky, no ingy. It can be rough. And then Taylor TC says, sounds like an anti-natalist scum. No, it just sounds like a third worlder who has third world issues. I mean, that's really the big issue here. You know. Yeah. Yeah, not only build a government, he did it while not Somalian, yes. Well, that's the thing, too. He apparently was able to... We're going to talk about the Somali stuff, guys. We might do... Oh, God, I feel like we might do a show on that tomorrow before Russell Greer, because, like I said, I'm home all day. We might do, like, an early show about the Somali stuff, because it's pretty fucking hilarious. They're like, oh, no, the guy broke in, and he cut a hole through the walls and stuff. It's like, why would he? And then the one lady was like, scam fraud is bad. And she's like, I can't say those words. Allah will strike me down. The fucking Somalis. Oh, yes. We love our Somalis. We love our Muslims. Oh, they're so good. Oh, they're so sweet. Yes. And now we have our own problems in Ohio, which apparently, our own governor said, Suffolk, Ohio. It's like, fuck that. Fuck that. Oh, yes. Look at me. Look at me. Look at me. You are the third worlder now. Yes. Oh. Yes. When you're in college as a Pakistani, he's actually a blessing. I'm betting some are, but gotta be careful out there, man. Gotta be careful. Gotta be careful. Let's see, what else do we have here? I think we're almost done here, chat. So just hang tight with this. You might say, why? What? We're done? Yeah. Almost. Stephen Cooper for $5 says, oh, Joy called in on my day off just to hurry up and wait. Did you make it the P.O. box today? No, it snowed like 8 inches, and I was like, we're not going outside today. So, no, we've stayed inside all day. Tomorrow I got to go out. I actually have to go out and do things, so I got to shovel the dry, run the snow blower, and I'll go out and pick it up tomorrow. I was just like, I looked out, I opened the door, and I opened the front door to my porch, and I'm like, yeah, we're not doing this today. And it was still pretty windy. Like, the wind was still cutting through everywhere. And I'm like, not doing this. I mean, we would open the door for Clyde and Lainey to go out the back door and go, like, run around. Lainey, like, jumped out into the snow, went partway down the ramp, and came, like, right back in. And Clyde kind of just stares at the window. Like, he stared at the open doorway, like, at 2.0. And he's like, I'm not doing this. And he just walked back, and yeah. Yeah, it was rough. It was rough. So we're not doing it. Yeah. So no, we did not get it today, but I will get it for tomorrow. Luke says you can't compete with 8 inches. I don't know. Can you? Have you tried to compete with 8 inches? Do you know what your limits are? I've never found them out because I never want to compete with it, sir. That's a big self-report. That's a big self-report, Luke. So it's what the Subaru is made for. Yeah, but you got to walk around out there. Clyde's like, you can't make me. I know. And we can't. And then EDW Raptor for $5 says, there's no difference between grilled bread and toast. I'll die on this hill. Thank you, Ag. Thank you. All right. So moving on from there, guys. The DOJ has 5.2 million pages of Epstein files. Did I? Wait, who did I said EDW. Oh, okay. Sorry, EDW. Okay, thank you. Yes, I'm sorry, EDW. You're the same to me, chat. You both lived in Louisiana. There. Oh, God. All right. So, chat, the DOJ, the Justice Department, has 5.2 million pages of Epstein files. And what do? They claim they need 400 lawyers to help in the review to go through privilege and all that stuff. number one, I ain't fucking touching that because I ain't gonna get involved in redacting that shit. No. I don't want to deal with that. I don't want to deal with that. I wouldn't want to touch that stuff. I'd just start releasing it. I'd just be like, blah, fuck it. Here you go. I just sit there and just like live stream it. Look, guys, check it out. And I just go page after page after page. I would not. You know, people are like, oh, you should go do it. It's like, no, we ain't doing that, Chief. I ain't helping that stuff. Athens says, why are they just now looking? Well, there's that too. But anyways, 5.2 million pages with 40 lawyers who do like 40 hours a week. It would take about 8 weeks to get it done, but you know, it's going to take longer than 8 weeks. So there's 5.2 million pages of Epstein documents, and they want 400 lawyers. I ain't fucking helping them. You couldn't pay me enough to touch that shit. I'd be releasing it anyway. But they point out Congress required the DOJ to release its files by December 19th. They released about 100,000 pages. In the days that followed, they said 1 million more were still needed to be reviewed. Remember, though, what did Pam Bondi say in like April and March? Oh, we found 1 million pages. So why aren't those 1 million pages done? They say since late November, the department has signed nearly 200 lawyers from the National Security Division to review the documents. You know, about anything that would compromise continuing investigations. Now they told employees they need more help. The document review is expected to take until at least January 20th. Okay, I don't like too fucking bad. Get it done. Let's start releasing shit. If you haven't finished your investigations, feds, I don't fucking care. Let it all out. Let the heavens fall. I'm okay with that. What that might bring. I'm okay with what that might bring. You know, we have lawyers working around the clock. I don't care. Don't care. There were some things that came out that they ended up having to take down, and allegedly they're claiming there was information about victims on them they had to take down, which I'm not. I'm kind of calling bullshit on that. We all know stuff there was embarrassing. One image showed a credenza with an open drawer containing other photos, including one of Trump. And they said the image was removed not to protect the president, but because of concerns about whether that image contained any victims. The image was later restored to the collection. Well, that's all bullshit. You could check it right away. But that is currently the state of things with the DOJ thing. And it's like, I'm not doing that. I ain't helping. Find someone else for that. Find someone else for that. So, Cash and Bondi are too busy in podcasts. You know what, though? It's good they're doing that. I don't want them fucking with things. I don't want Kash Patel actually running the FBI because he's an idiot. So if he wants to go fuck around somewhere out of the way, that's fine. Let somebody else run the FBI. So, yeah, they're not in the office right now, too. Yes, I don't trust the files either, and the files have been compromised now for multiple years. They've been compromised through multiple presidential administrations at this point. You know, remember, all this shit that was there, and the Biden DOJ sat on it forever. Like, all this shit out there. So why did they sit on it? Because they realized there's nothing there. Or they realized it wasn't worth looking through, which means they didn't think there was anything there to start with. So I'm not too worried about this, about what's in there, but I'd love to know what the original things were. So he says he's not getting rid of the DC headquarters. They say that and nothing ever fucking happens. Remember, it's 1:15, nothing ever happens o'clock. So don't get your hopes up. That shit's not happening the way you think it will. Well, anyways, with that black pill, let's move into a nice little thing here. This is you're like, ooh, this looks very nice. Well, this is the 2025 report on the federal judiciary. You're like, oh, this is going to be great. This is a report. Yeah, from who? Well, it's who is it from? Well, we'll get to that here as we get to the bottom of it. And it is from Chief John Roberts, Chief Justice of the United States Supreme Court. So let's get through this a little bit here. Read through this a little bit. This is his end of year report. He says 250 years ago this week, a recent immigrant to Britain's North America put the finishing touches on a manuscript which he hoped to express plain truths about his newly adopted home. A native of Thetford, about 90 miles northeast of London, Thomas Paine had struggles as a laborer, a sailor, a craftsman, and an excise collector in England before embarking for Philadelphia with almost nothing to his name. The one thing going for him was an acquaintance named Benjamin Franklin. He was name dropping, chat. He was a name dropper who gave him a letter of recommendation that led to an offer of employment. And then from all this, Paine earned his first bylines in January 1775. Acting as both editor and contributor, he brought energy to all of this. Alongside these articles, Paine wrote and edited his day job. He began working the larger Plain Truths, which eventually, even though it was too long to broadcast and too short for a book, it became the pamphlet known as Common Sense. Not too common anymore. And notice he just goes on and on and on about all this, and he talks about Thomas Paine, and he, keeps going. And you're just like, well, what are you doing this about? Like, what are you talking about here? This doesn't really mean shit. Like, what are you getting to, Justice Roberts? And as we get to this here, you're just like, well, what are we doing? What are we doing here? Let's get to the actual workload of the courts here. This is actually kind of interesting. So in the October term 2024, the number of cases filed in the Supreme Court decreased 9% compared to the prior year. That, notice they still took the same amount of what they had. For the 12-month period ending September 30th, 2025, the number of cases filed in the U.S. Court of Appeals increased 5%. Civil cases filed in district courts increased 4%. Criminal defendant filings increased 13%. Yeah, wow, that's a lot of fucking court cases that get filed. Increased prosecutions, not sure I like. Increased bankruptcy, 11%. That's not a good sign economically. That's not a good sign. So, in the 2023 term, there were 4,200 filings in the Supreme Court. That was down to 3,800 in 2024 term. The number of cases filed in the court's Informa Paperis docket decreased 11% from 2,847 in 2023 to 2,527 in 2024. So if you guys didn't realize, the majority of things filed in the United States Supreme Court are IFP filings. They are IFP filings here. So if you didn't know this, this is actually very interesting. This is something if you weren't sure about here. But yes, most of this stuff is IFP. The number of cases filed in the court's paid docket decreased from 1,300 to just a little over 1,300. So if you notice, this most of the stuff here is IFP. Most of the stuff in the Supreme Court getting filed are IFP things. And so during the 2024 term, 73 cases were argued and 64 were disposed of 56 signed opinions. Which is, think about that. That's all they did. That's all they did of literally like 3,800 cases. 73 were picked. The court also issued 4 per curiam opinions in argued cases during the 2024 term. Like, literally nothing gets heard, guys. They talk about the Federal Court of Appeals. There were 39,788 in fiscal year 2024, and then 41,000 in fiscal year 2025. Remember, the courts at the lower court levels don't operate Supreme Court terms. They operate on different terms. They operate on fiscal years. And it's just Everything is up. The criminal stuff is a decrease. Administrative stuff is up. All other stuff is up. Civil is up a lot. And remember, guys, civil is the majority of that court's time. Appeals by pro se litigants. I'm looking at you, Russell. Which amounted to half the filings was 20,878. That is a lot, chat. Prisoner petitions accounted for 20% of all appeals court filings, and 88% of prisoner petitions were filed pro se. It's just a lot. Is a lot here, chat. It's a lot. So, federal district courts had 303,000 civil cases in 2025. Think about all that. Now, cases involving diversity of citizenship had 96,000 cases of that. The federal question cases were over 157,000. Cases of the United States where they were a plaintiff were over 3,100. Where they were a defendant was 46,000. And it just this breakdown is very interesting in how this is done here. So, on a wall, you want to know about the shadow docket, you mean? What do you that's what I think you mean, where they make all their rulings and the stays and all that. Yeah, there's some of that, but the shadow docket's not as critical. It's still what they do here. Federal courts had 79,000 defendant filings. Oof. It's a lot. It's a lot, chat. The bankruptcy courts are busy. There were 557,000 new filings in 2025. I mean, that's that's not a sign of healthiness, chat. That's not a sign of healthiness. I'm just saying, chapter 7s were the number one, almost 350,000 chapter 7s. Then there were chapter 13s, then chapter 11s, and there are other chapters of the bankruptcy code, but not very well commonly used. It is a lot going on there, guys. It's a lot going on. It's just very, very interesting in that regard. It's very interesting how that's handled. So how many FISA actions? That's not going to be listed. Sadly. Like that. So. Weird Tiger Ray says, what do you think about recreating the court so the court hears more cases? No, I don't want to. The Supreme Court, we don't need to fuck with it to have it hear more cases. There are things we can do to make it hear more cases. Like, they need to quit just being fucking assholes about it and do a lot more fucking work. But no, I don't want to mess with the size of the court. I don't want to screw with any of the rules. I don't want to do anything like that. They got to do more fucking work. That's all they need to do more work. Informa pauperis. How do you pronounce that? Informa pauperis. As a pauper. Meaning you're poor. Oh, look, it's Russell's signature as a graph. Oh. Alex says, these increases were because of targeted and or activist cases against Trump. Yeah, some of that, I guess, but not really too much. Not really too much. Yes, here I am crazy talking about people doing more work. Yes. Yeah, I know. How dare I? How dare I? Amateur Iconoclast says the company's living out the PPP loans finally going under. I guess that might be it. That might be it. That might really be it. Let's see here. Debbie O for $5. Thank you again, Debbie. Saying, I do feel some cash guilt. Based on his book, I thought he'd be a good pick for the FBI. Boy, was I wrong. We're all wrong. Fell for it again. But you know what? This happens every administration. Everybody falls for it again. If the Democrats win in 2028, it's going to be embarrassing for them too. We thought some people are going to be good. Like, the only guy who's been partially decent is Stephen Miller. So, we don't worry. We're all falling for it again, Debbie. Don't feel bad. But if you didn't fall for it, that'd be even worse because you'd be completely disillusioned. So, oh well. I mean, oh no, a politician took advantage of us. It's like, do you really think they would do that? It's like, well, yes, of course they would. But yes, cash has been a complete tard. Anonymous says, off topic, what are some book suggestions you'd have for the following categories? Fiction, nonfiction, philosophical, civil/legal. Well, I mean, if you want some like fiction, like Tom Clancy stuff that's written in the 80s is really good, like Cardinal of the Kremlin, The Hunt for October. What else would there be? Like Clear and Present Danger. Those are a couple of good ones. Stuff Now, Brad Thor is pretty good. As far as other nonfiction or sci-fi, like, Starship Troopers is always a good one. There's also Old Man's War. Oh God, who wrote that? John Scalzi. Old Man's War. It's a really good book. It's actually a nice little series. The rest of it's not as good as the other things in it, but the original book is really, really good too. As far as nonfiction, just pick a topic you really like or are interested in. You'll find some cool shit out there. You'll find some cool stuff out there. As far as philosophical or civil and legal, read Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. It's not a bad thing to read. Just learn that a little. Read that a little bit, ponder it. You can read some of that stuff that's out there. Like, read some of the things. Like, if you want to read some philosophy, read some of that. Socrates and Plato. If you want to read some Cicero, that's not bad too. There's a bunch of stuff out there you can read. Read the Federalist Papers, read the Anti-Federalist Papers. Make sure you do them with the annotations in them so it helps you kind of navigate through it. But yeah, all kinds of stuff out there to read. All kinds of stuff out there to read. In history, and the reason why I tell you about any topic you're interested in, history is full of people doing epic, epic things in whatever category it is you like. And it's like stuff you would not be able to put in a movie. Nobody would watch, but it happened in real life. So something to think about. Thank you for the super chat. Anime Exceptionalist says, oh, hold on. Anime Exceptionalism for $2 says, Sean, you are my favorite male law tuber. Actually, I have to think about it for a second. Yeah, there are a lot of male law tubers. But thank you. I appreciate that. And my favorite e-boy. I'll take that too, I guess. First one, I'm like, okay, cool. The second one, I'm like, yeah, I'll take it. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you so much for your super chat. I appreciate it. Tachyon Black says he's poor. He's self-representing. And then Sleazy says for $5, YouTube keeps deleting this. Unless the lefties get in prison en masse, I'm voting Dems just for the accelerationism. Well, I mean, I don't know about that. Run out the clock a little bit more so you can get yourself stored up so, you can go wipe out some commies is never a bad idea. That's how I'd recommend you do it. So don't worry. Things will accelerate enough on its own. America's on the America's a train full of retarded children. We'll figure out a way to make it speed off the tracks soon enough. Don't you worry. You don't need to accelerate. We're already a rock falling off the edge of a cliff. There's nothing else to accelerate, sir. Well, thank you for the super chat. Thank you. Let's see here. Yes, On Resistance by Evil Forest for number 3. Yeah, there's all kinds of stuff you could buy. If you want to buy books about glowy stuff, you can buy like from David Kilcullen, like from Out of the Mountains, Insurgency, Counterinsurgency. He's the guy that went along with Petraeus and Afghanistan was like his historian. There's, like I keep showing the book every once in a while, Fry the Brain. It's about urban, a guide to urban sniping as a guerrilla. It focuses a lot on like what happened in Chechnya during the battles in Grozny, but also the IRA. It teaches you a lot about that. There's all kinds of fun stuff out there. If you're looking to do ham radio stuff, the Guerrilla's Guide to the Baofeng Radio by NC Scout. If you guys Google it on Amazon, you guys can buy it there from, or if you guys go on Twitter, Brush Beater, it's also known as NC Scout. Matt has a book. The book's very helpful if you don't know shit about a radio. Let's see here. What else is there? Some good stuff. The Bear Went Over the Mountains, okay, but I'm talking about David Kilcullen focused on the Afghan insurgency with the Taliban. Really, that's a bigger thing, I think. It's a little more important for what we have. But also, it just really goes through the ideas of insurgency from a, making sure you understand you really have to have the political support of the indigenous population if you're operating within them, and just really gets you to know what you're doing there. So, there's also, industrial society and its consequences. There's, the Industrial Revolution's consequences and industrial slavery by Ted Kaczynski are not bad books too, just to get a basic idea of what's going on out there. There's, all kinds of stuff out there. If you want to look and read those kind of things are available for you. Taking classes is correct, but it's not bad to start learning and reading is my point. So, Digital Nuisances says the legacy of Forest books, especially the ones Karen Travis wrote about Boba Fett. Not sure what those are about. Yes. Anonymous says, I recently read The Manners of Savo by Henry Patterson and then The Abolition of Man by C.S. Lewis. If you read that book, you probably look around and say, oh my God, did C.S. Lewis have a fucking time machine? Because it really feels like C.S. Lewis had a time machine when he wrote that book, because it's like he looked at today and wrote about it 100 years ago. The Abolition of Man is an insane book. There's no way anybody read that and thought it was like actually possible what he wrote about. But you know what? C.S. Lewis fucking called it. He basically called everything. C.S. Lewis is basically The Simpsons. Yeah, Simpsons did it. But if you want to read something that's really good, C.S. Lewis, the guy who wrote the Chronicles of Narnia, the Screw Tape Letters, very good friend of J.R.R. Tolkien as well. They are World War I veteran as well. But yes, C.S. Lewis is right. We live in an occupied territory. Well, I'm just telling you, the way C.S. Lewis wrote, you're like, I think that guy had a goddamn time machine. And you're going to say, yes, he did. Yes, he did. Absolutely, he had a time machine. So then if you really want like economic stuff, you can read A Road to Serfdom by F.A. Hayek. It's not a bad. I think it's a good read. But take a look at it. That might be a little, at times it can be much. And honestly, you don't have to read Hayek to know government spending's bad. Keynesian economics suck. So, did I say Keynesian? I said Keynesian. Wow, I'm fucking illiterate tonight. So, George Martin equals fake man. Well, yes. I'm going to meme this got boring as fuck with the book bullshit. Well, that is it for us, though. We're actually all caught up here. So, we're all done, chat. Let me just make sure I caught everybody. Yeah, we're all set. So, guys, that is it for us tonight. What was I going to do here? Oh, we are going to head over. It's only been an hour and a half. Yeah. Sometimes it beat like that, Mr. Stancil. We are going to go over to locals. I think we're going to probably go play on the train a little bit. I think we're going to go play on the trains a little bit, play around with some stuff. Yeah. But it will be a fun time. A fun time will be had by all. Like I said, tomorrow, if we have time to do the Somali stuff, we will, but we'll definitely go into Russell Greer's Suing Nevada. And just kind of catching up on some stuff and getting ready for the week. Because it's almost time to go back to work, chat, for a lot of people. So. And getting my green card, LOL. Yes. All right. Did anybody hear about the whistleblower claiming we're infiltrated by Israel by top down? No, but I wouldn't believe, it's not like I wouldn't believe that. I'm like, okay, tell me something else I don't know. If I cover the Minnesota Somalis, I'm obligated to open with the Alex Jones folk song. Well, there's also there's a guy on Twitter that I follow. He's a reporter. This guy has put some fucking bangers of memes out there. These are the memes that he's got out there. These are absolute bangers of memes he's been doing here. And it's the Black Hawk Down memes like the daycares are empty. Were we supposed to go check them? No, I thought they were supposed to check them for us. Yeah, and then like the learning center's gone, man. I'll be at the Safari restaurant. Good luck. You're like, oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Yeah. Anyways. It's very funny. These are very, very funny, you guys. There'll be a bunch of stuff to go over. Yes, the Leering Center. Yes. They fixed the sign this time around. Anyways, chat. I will see you guys tomorrow. And otherwise, I will see you guys over at potentiallycriminal.locals.com. See you guys over on Locals. Don't worry about the promo code. I still didn't get it fixed yet. So just come on over. We'll hang out. And yeah, chat, just remember till next time, just because you did it does not mean you're guilty. And sorry for the short show tonight, guys, but it's New Year's. There isn't a whole lot going on. And yeah, the new year will bring us much. And I hope 2026 is good for you. Better than 2025. And yeah, it's good. We're going to have a lot of fun, chat. We're going to have a lot of fun. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. Take care, chat. Oh, shit. No, I did not. Oh, real quick from 2.0. Got a calendar says today in military history, perpetual calendar. So what we got to start off is January 1st. January 1st says on January 1st, 1863, the Battle of Galveston. Confederate forces under General John B. Magruder recaptured Galveston, Texas from Union troops, sinking the USS Harriet Lane and killing 150 people. The daring attack using cotton-clad steamers briefly restored Southern control of this key port. That was today, January 1st, 1863. So yes, thank you, 2.0. The South will rise again. Oh. Has Locals fixed their chat yet? I think so. I messaged them and they said they were trying to fix it. So we'll see. Anyways, good night, chat, and I will see you guys later.
Weapons, blacksmithing, and models of planes, esoteric works, and even some trains. Much merriment had while drinking White Claws, tips on hunting, and even talking the law. Whatever you do, just don't talk to cops, even when they nab you on illegal stops. Just 'cause you did it doesn't mean you're guilty, but please talk to a local attorney. Was that the fact